After 19 years, Mike Tomlin has stepped down as coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers did put this out. Thank you, Coach Tomlin, for the hard work, dedication, and success you brought to the Steelers over the last 19 years. There was a statement from Tomlin. There was a statement from Art Rooney II. And I saw some people where they essentially said good riddance. Others were saying, thank you, Tomlin, for all that you did. To the people who were in the good riddance side of things, yes, you can want him gone, but not even a thank you. Thank you for your hard work over these 19 years. Nothing. That's harsh. Even if you wanted him fired, which, by the way, he didn't even get fired. He stepped down. Now, could he have gotten fired if he didn't step down? Maybe. Well, we won't know. But it's not a mutual parting of ways either, which is the nice way to get fired. It's illegal. It's the legal jargon, basically, almost, where it's just, we're going to part ways. No, you got fired. This is different than getting fired because we still retain his rights as a head coach. If he takes a year off and 365 days from now, there's a NFL team and they want to interview and then hire Mike Tomlin to be their head coach, the Steelers have to get some kind of compensation from that team to for them to be like, okay, we release his rights. That's to you. That's what it is. So it happened with Sean Payton. He stepped down or retired from the Saints. 1 year later, Broncos want to hire him. Okay, Broncos gave the Saints their first round pick. So it's very possible that the Steelers, whether it be this coaching cycle, the next coaching cycle in a year, maybe it's 2 coaching cycles from now. We don't know when it's going to be. We don't know when or if he's going to want to coach again. Now, if he wants to go be an analyst and be on TV for Fox Sports, ESPN, CBS Sports, who else? Any of these sports networks, that he obviously does not need permission to go do. Only in terms of NFL coaching. So when I saw the news and I was at work, my initial reaction was I was a little sad because I became a Steelers fan watching Super Bowl 43 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Antonio Holmes caught the game-winning touchdown. That was when I became a Steelers fan. All I've ever known is Mike Tomlin. That's it. I've only known Tomlin. For the longest time, I'd only known Ben at quarterback. Ben's last game at Heinz Field, or was it? It was still Heinz Field. His last game at Heinz Field, and Najee had that one really big run, and I'm screaming at the TV for Najee to go down, don't run this in for a touchdown, let Ben knee it out, and Najee goes into the end zone, and I think that's it. Then Trey Norwood intercepts Baker Mayfield, and Ben gets the opportunity to kneel it out, and I'm sitting there in front of the TV, and I'm bawling my eyes out. So with Coach Tomlin, obviously I was a little sad, but I wasn't bawling my eyes out. So I am very grateful. I'm thankful for what Tomlin did. And all of his hard work as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He got a lot of shit from a lot of people for his early success, and people saying that, he only won the Super Bowls because it was Cowher's team. Between some of the players like Ben, especially, because, franchise quarterback. Let me think. Willie Parker, I think, was still on the team for Super Bowl 43. I could be wrong, but I think he was still there. Who else? I mean, Lawrence Timmons was Tomlin's first draft choice. He was the first round pick when Tomlin took over. So, you had, James Harrison. He was a Bill Cowher guy. Ike Taylor, Troy Polamalu. I think Lamar Woodley was a rookie for that Super Bowl, so he was a Tomlin guy. But there were plenty, and I think I feel like Ryan Clark, he might have gotten there either the year before Tomlin or the same year as Tomlin. But you had Ryan Clark, you had, so I don't even know who attributed him to. But you just, so it was a team filled with Cowher's guys, obviously. Now, I don't know football like I do now, that I did then. I was 12, literally 11, I think, when they won that Super Bowl. I think I was literally 11 years old when they won that Super Bowl, and I was going to turn 12 that year. But I don't know as far as like free agency works, if was there as much turnover as there is now, because I think they say like 40% of your roster turns over every year, which, 40% of 53 is what? Let me think. 10% is 5.3. So let's just say 20. Oh, God. If it's 25 guys, let's say. 24, maybe it's 23, whatever it ends up being. Somewhere in the low to mid 20s. It changes over every year between free agents that leave, free agents that come in. Because some guys are on a 1-year deal and then they bounce. And they're on a 1-year deal with another team. And they're just true journeymen, right? So you have a situation like that. Or it's, okay, this draft pick, their 4-year rookie deal's up, so they're leaving. And that's, if your draft pick, half, maybe. So let's say you had 7. So let's just even say 4 draft picks, right? They finish their deal and they leave, right? Maybe 3 of them, because maybe you keep your first. Like, whatever it ends up being. But it's like, if 20 guys, even just say 20, if 20 leave and change, that's a lot of guys from year to year. So, was it mostly Bill Cowher's guys when they won that Super Bowl? Yeah. Was it? But how many of the Cowher guys were there when they went and lost to the Packers in the Super Bowl? Probably not as many. How many Cowher guys were there in, 16 when we lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship? I think that was that year. Probably Ben was probably it, if I'm being honest. And especially the last time we won a playoff game, it was all Tomlin's guys minus Ben. So now, since Ben retired, there are literally no Bill Cowher players on the team. And I feel like I rattled this stat off before, but in the time since Ben Roethlisberger retired, the Steelers had blank quarterbacks start, right? Between Mitch, Kenny, Mason, Russ, Justin, Aaron. That's 6 right there. But it was like all but one had a winning record. And the one who didn't have a winning record was Mitch Trubisky. So, did he get a lot of shit? Yes. Was some of it deserved? Yes, I'm sure some of it was deserved. But some of it also was not. Because, and I know everyone, some people bring up the hasn't had a losing season in 19 years, right? So they bring that up. And everyone's like, yeah, but, we're not, when was the last time we won a playoff game? And that is a valid point. But to me, and I've said this, what is the point in, or what is the difference in you won the wild card round, but then you lose in the divisional? So basically, by the time the playoffs come around next year, it would have been a decade without winning a playoff game. So, in 5 years, we'll cut it in half. If you had gone 5 years, you get bounced in the first round. 5 years, you win the first round but get bounced in the second round. What is the difference? To me, there is no difference. Because you still did not reach that ultimate goal. Because maybe some people are like, oh, we won in the wild card and then we lost the divisional. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm not. Is it okay to lose the wild card? No. Is it okay to lose the divisional? No. The AFC Championship? No. You got to win the Super Bowl. That is the goal, not winning a playoff game. So the fact that he hadn't won a playoff game in almost a decade, and it will be a decade by the time next year comes around, the Steelers wouldn't have won a playoff game, that wasn't as big of a deal to me as it was to others. But I also understood the context of we are getting outmatched at quarterback. Josh Allen versus Mason Rudolph. Lamar Jackson versus Russell Wilson. Patrick Mahomes versus an aging Ben Roethlisberger. We were getting outmatched at quarterback over the last few years. And even this one, it's Aaron Rodgers in quite possibly his last season versus CJ Stroud. Who, is he one of the top of the tops? No. But is he still a good young quarterback? Yes. So Aaron, obviously he's going to have the experience, he's going to have the mentals. But he doesn't have the physical gifts that he once did. So I didn't hold that over him as much. As far as never having a losing season, right? Some people are just saying, that's just impressive. To me, I don't put it that way. I put it in the context of how many head coaches, since Ben retired, could run it with Mitch, Kenny, Mason, Russ, Justin, and Aaron Rodgers possibly in his last year. How many head coaches can take that group of quarterbacks and have it be all non-losing winning seasons, right? And by the way, we had Ben start in 21, Mitch start in 22, Kenny started 23, Justin started in 24, Aaron started in 25, and unless Aaron Rodgers comes back, we are going to have a new starting quarterback for week 1 for a 6th year in a row. That's an actual fact. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. So my questioning is, how many coaches could take 5 years, 5 different quarterbacks starting week 1 and do what he did? I don't know the answer to that. I doubt he's the only one. I'm not saying he's the only one. I highly doubt he is. But is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 10? How many coaches could do that? Because I know what the answer is not. And it's not 32. Okay? It's not. So, I mean, it's probably even less than 15, I would say. And that's being generous, like giving it to 15. There's probably an argument it could very well be less than 10. I don't think I would say it's less than 5, but it'd be less than 10. I could say. So everything, I try to put it into context. I do. And that is where I put it in context. Where, does it suck not winning a playoff game? Yes. But would I be any happier winning a playoff game in the wild card round and losing the divisional? No. I would be happier for a week, and then I'd be pissed off that we lost in the divisional. I wouldn't be any happier overall. Just me. So, couple of perspectives that I have, right? I'm curious, and I have no idea. I don't have any guesses. I don't have really any preferences right now because it was announced he was stepping down 6 hours ago from me recording this. Which, by the way, Jordan Schultz, about this time 6 hours ago, got 3 text messages from coaches in this cycle that were interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers job. Part of that could be, hey, it's a patient ownership group, you know? I don't have to worry. I'm going to be moving my wife and kids possibly across the country to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and in 3 years' time, I'm looking for another job and we're moving again. This is I can move here and my kids are quite possibly going to finish school here. Right? My kids might finish school here. That is the type of ownership group when it comes to how they handle the head coaching position. Now, I can give you trends, and I can give you who fits that trend. I could try to do that. But I mean, right now I don't know. But I'm interested in how the Steelers do next season under that new head coach. Right? If we go 14-3, we're the 2 seed, and we make it to the AFC Championship. then obviously Mike Tomlin was holding the Steelers back, you could say, right? But if they go 3-14 and last in the division, top 5 pick in the draft, then it was, Mike Tomlin was elevating this team. We're going to find out a lot in the next calendar year how much or how little Mike Tomlin meant to this team. Because, everyone talks about him winning with Cowher's team. Okay. What's the new coach going to do with his team? Is he going to win with that team, or is he going to lose with that team? So we'll have to see. The other thing I'm interested in is whenever Mike Tomlin decides, or if he decides, that he's ready to get back into coaching, whether it be this coaching cycle, the next coaching cycle, the one after that, the one after that, I don't care. Whenever he decides, I'm ready and I'm going to get back into coaching, I'm going to watch the team he coaches. And I may not watch every game, but I'll definitely pay attention and keep an eye on them. But I'm interested to see how that team does. Like, let's say he gets hired this year and he goes down to Tennessee, hypothetical. And he takes Tennessee from, where they are and they're a playoff team. And maybe they lose in the wild card round. Now, he may be laughed at by Steelers fans, like, oh, he still lost a playoff game, or hell, maybe he wins a playoff game and then loses in the divisional, and then it's, oh, wow. Maybe he goes to the Raiders, who have the number 1 pick. He gets Fernando Mendoza, and, they're a playoff team. And it's, whoa, he just lifted the Raiders from the number 1 pick to a playoff team. See what, he can do if he just has a quarterback? And that's a very possible scenario as well, is that Mike Tomlin, if he were to get a franchise quarterback in his prime, he might do very well. We don't know. The last time Mike Tomlin did well, he had a franchise quarterback in his prime. That is the last time he did well in the playoffs. That's literally it. I don't think you can argue that. The last time he did well, Ben Roethlisberger, franchise quarterback in his prime. Now, could he have been at the later end of his prime? Yes, because that was year, 13, 14, somewhere in that ballpark? So he was mid-30s, just reaching the very end of his prime, right? So that's just where I'm like, I wish he could have gotten a second franchise quarterback just to see could he still win with his guys and a franchise quarterback in his prime. That's what I'm curious about, and he might get that in his next coaching job. We don't know. It's a little annoying, I will say that I didn't get to see that, or that we didn't get to see that, but because, and it's obviously annoying because that would have been another franchise quarterback for the Steelers. And I've gone through the whole Steelers can't develop, blah, blah, blah. I've gone through that whole thing. I've explained it. So I'm not going to explain it again. How they drafted one quarterback in the first 2 rounds since Ben, and they missed. And it was only two quarterbacks in the first 3, the other one being Mason. So Kenny and Mason in the first 3 rounds, and that was it. I'm sorry they didn't develop them, and I'm sorry they didn't develop a bunch of day 3 picks and an undrafted guy, and I'm sorry they didn't do that. So, I have no idea who they're going to get. I can go through trends, and I can see who fits that trend later, but for right now, that is it for this video. Again, thank you. Thank you, Coach T. If there is a goodbye press conference, I will react to that. If there's not, and this is it. Thank you, and good luck. Thanks for the memories, Coach, and that's it. If you guys did enjoy this, please do leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.